and our guest speaker today. Let's get started. My name is David Hosmer. I'm your district director and room monitor this morning for the great Alfred Herzing. Please remember that to receive credit for officer training, you must be present for the entire session. You must also complete the Zoom poll at the end. But if you're not speaking, please keep yourself on mute. And if you don't, we will, because the background noise disrupts our speaker. So we have a fun and interactive session planned for today. And if you want to see the speaker and make the presentation smaller, drag the speaker to the window to the left. And thank you. Now let me introduce Alfred Hursting, who's been a Toastmaster since the last century. Welcome to this century, Alfred. In 1990 and 91, Alfred was district governor and led District 52 to be a distinguished district. That's no small feat, ladies and gentlemen. That's a great feat, and I look forward to it. But more than that, he is proud of the fact that the first 4 years, that it was the first 4 years of 4 years in a row that District 52 was distinguished. So not only did he lead his year to distinguished, he had a succession plan in mind that continued on after him. Very good. Alfred served as international director from 1995 to 97, and then was our international president from July 2001 or August 2001 for the next year. And I've heard Alfred speak before, and a month into his officership as president, 9/11 happened and the world changed. So Alfred, I hope you've got some good words for us today, because the world is changing around us. Alfred still remains in 4 clubs and is an officer in 3. Now, if you think the big brass doesn't know what's going on at the bottom of the pyramid, Alfred's an officer in 3 Toastmaster clubs. Alfred, thank you for your continued service and leadership at the local level. Alfred's presented to audiences in the United States, Canada, Germany, Switzerland, Philippines, India, Malaysia, and many more. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome the distinguished Alfred Hursting.
Thank you, David. I appreciate your introduction. Good morning, Founders District. I'm excited to be with you this morning. I want this to be an interactive session. I have some material to cover, but I want it to be interactive. So feel free to unmute to enter your comments via voice. If you want to chat them in, David will be looking at those. And David, you have my full permission to interrupt at any time to take questions. I'd rather answer the questions than get through all the slides. Okay, my priority is to serve all of you. So I'm going to share my screen at this point, and let's see if we can get the presentation started here. And I will start the slideshow, and please let me know if you are seeing the first slide. Wait a minute, it's not even up there yet. There we go. Let me know when you're seeing the Quality Club. Oh, no, it stopped. Resume slideshow. There we go. Are you seeing it?
It's on.
All right, good. Quality clubs, that's what we're talking about today, because the fact of the matter is members join clubs. They don't join the district. They don't join the area. They join a club, and they leave clubs. They don't leave the district. And the district can do very little in those areas. We can provide training like this and provide input, but at the end of the day, it falls to the club. And I want you to think about something kind of interesting. You know, clubs are franchises, all right? There are outlets. And if you think of other major chains like McDonald's, for example, you know, when you go from McDonald's to McDonald's, you can expect pretty much the same thing when you go to any McDonald's. Now, some will have a kids zone, some will not. In these days of COVID, some lobbies are open, some are not. But when you order a Big Mac, you know you're going to get the 2 all beef patties, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun. Is it still on a sesame seed bun? Yes, it is. Okay. It's not going to be a situation where you go to McDonald's and order a Big Mac and, hey, at this Big Mac in Riverside, you know what? They're only giving you one patty. And at the one in Mission Viejo, they're giving you 3 patties. You know, it's always the same product. Now, I will tell you, there are some regional variances. For instance, did you know that at McDonald's in Wisconsin, you can get a bratwurst? And I've visited, I'm a McDonald's junkie, I'll admit it. In Germany, you can get beer at McDonald's. And in Germany, if you ask for extra ketchup, you know, those little packets, they charge you for every little one extra you get. But it's the same amongst all those in that region. It's not different. The problem with Toastmasters is every club is different. Now, there's natural variances between every club. You know, every club has its own personality, does things a little differently. Almost all clubs do prepared speeches, table topics, and evaluations, but they don't always do it the same way. In all my clubs, we start with table topics, then we do the speeches, and then we do the evaluations. Some clubs like to start with the speeches, then do table topics, and then evaluations. Some clubs, you know, some of the advanced clubs don't do table topics. But the thing is, when a guest comes into a club and this is their first experience with Toastmasters, whatever that club happens to present to them, that's their impression of Toastmasters. And unfortunately, it's not a consistent experience across the organization. Like I said, with McDonald's, and it's not just McDonald's, whether you're talking about a Red Robin or Red Lobster, you know what the menu is. And no matter which restaurant you go to, no matter which city, it's going to be pretty much the same thing. But with Toastmasters, it can vary quite a bit. And so the question becomes, you know, well, what makes a great club, right? And again, please unmute, and I'd like your input is what makes a great club? What components do you like to have? I have some ideas I have on the slides here, but I'm not saying these are the definitive answers. There's so many answers. This is your chance to participate. Please speak up.
A great club is something where it makes the guests come back again to their club.
Okay, but what would make them want to come back?
How they have been treated while they were there. That's called how they were treated when they came to the club for the first time.
Okay.
Reception and recognition.
Treated well and recognized. Beautiful. Okay. What else?
Interesting speeches.
Interesting speeches. Okay.
Great teams.
A well-organized meeting.
Hang on. On the interesting speeches, I'm going to make this comment. One of the things I love about Toastmasters is almost every speech I hear, I mean, I'm talking like 99%, I'm either entertained or I learned something. So, I mean, that's amazing. So great. Interesting speeches. What was the next one? I'm sorry.
A well-organized agenda and meeting.
A well-organized agenda and meeting. Beautiful. And that agenda, when should that go out? The night before the meeting?
Maybe as much as a week before.
You know, ideally at least a week ahead of time. So if you're the speaker, you have a chance to prepare. I'm sure you've seen it across your time in Toastmasters. I've seen it, sadly. People have, I've gotten to a Toastmasters meeting and the Toastmaster says, we had a cancellation. Anybody want to speak tonight? What? Now, some of us are prepared and we have pocket speeches or we're ready to give at any time, but the typical member is not that way. What else makes a great meeting?
Better teams.
Pardon?
Better team.
Can you explain what you mean by that?
Theme of the day, which is very interesting.
Theme. Yes, exactly. You know, and I love themes because they add variety to the meetings. At the end of the day, let's face it, we're doing the same core program. We're doing table topics, speeches, and evaluations, but the themes are what makes it creative and fun. Excellent. Good.
I think the most important thing is being shown the value to them of Toastmasters.
And how do you show the value?
By explaining to them when you introduce them and talking to them, saying this is what we're about and this is what we do and this can and showing them how it can prove, asking them questions about Okay, what kind of business you're in? You're in sales. Oh, great. Well, this can help your confidence in selling to people, giving presentation, and showing them how it will relate to them.
Yeah,
So
show
that gets
how
them to
it's
come back.
yeah, show how it's relevant and how they could benefit. Great. Because at the end of the day, it's always what's in it for me, right?
Right.
And that's what's unique about Toastmasters International. There's a lot of other great service organizations in the world, Kiwanis, Rotary, and those organizations are focused on serving the community. Our organization is unique in that the beneficiary of our program is the actual member. So fantastic. What else makes a great club?
If we follow the moments of truth, I think everything will come into place.
I love it. And I do have moments of truth listed in here. So great point. Absolutely. Thank you. And there are no wrong answers here. So I'm not saying that was an exceptional answer, but it's in the presentation. So I thought of that too. Well, let me show you some of the things I say. What makes a great club? A planned agenda, like I said, that goes out well in advance. Prepared attendees, meaning people don't just know they've been assigned to be the grammarian, but they come with a word of the day and they're prepared to explain their duties. That we give project speeches. Years ago, there was a problem where people would give speeches that were not out of the educational program. I'm very strict in my clubs that I do not allow speeches to be given if they're not part of Pathways, if it's not part of the program. We need to make sure we have personalized evaluations, which means the evaluator should be personalizing their language. I felt, I thought, I saw. And I have a great example of this I tell because it was just so glaring. I was one time at a district conference for District 33 in beautiful downtown Bakersfield. Okay. And they were having the district evaluation contest. And so these were supposedly the best evaluators in District 33. And one evaluator got up and he said, your speech had great gestures. A declarative statement stated as fact. Now, the evaluators don't hear the predecessors. The very next evaluator got up and said, your speech lacked gestures. Again, a declarative statement stated as fact, but completely opposite the previous evaluator. Now, both of them could have been correct, okay? The person that saw gestures was up front. The person that saw no gestures is sitting in the back, and all the gestures, like I'm doing now, were below the field of view, so they couldn't be seen. So both were correct. So that's why it's so important to personalize your language. I didn't see any gestures. I felt your speech would be better if. Because especially those of you that are leaders, club officers, you are seen as leaders in the club. And if you make a declarative statement, you should, or whatever, whoa, the new member is going to be, oh my gosh, this is, I have been given the message by God. Okay. But instead you say, I felt, I thought, I saw. That's what I mean by that. Thoughtful table topics, meaning, they're interesting questions that are thought provoking. And there should always be a question where there's no right or wrong answer. What's the infection rate of Omicron? I don't know. What would you do if you came down with COVID? What would be what would you do to react to that? That's an appropriate table topic. You're giving your own personal opinion, your own impressions. And we always let our folks know that if you have no answer, they ask you a question where you're just like, I have no idea. And this happened to me in a founders district club. I'm a member of Unite OC, where if you have no idea, just make something up. I was asked, what's your thoughts on Dred Scott? Now, I remembered the Dred Scott from school, but, that was so long ago, and he didn't give me any more background on that. And so I said, Dred Scott was a very interesting situation because there was this guy and he was very rude and mean, and his name was Scott. And every time he came into town, he would yell at people and they would just hate to see him. And so when they'd see him and coming into town, it's like, oh, Dred Scott, here he comes again. So that was my table topic. I did speak the minimum, and actually I won that night because people enjoyed my creativity. And then, when we questioned our members. We polled our members when I was on the board. The number one thing our members want when they speak in their club is an audience. Okay. Imagine preparing your speech, you work all week, you practiced in front of the mirror, the dog knows all your gestures, and you get there and there's 4 people. It's not the same experience. So we want to have an audience for our members. What else makes a great club is trained officers that perform their duties. And you guys attending today and learning about club officer training, some of you are serving full year terms, so you already attended training back in the June, July timeframe. I applaud you for coming back, because it's always good to get a refresher and also pick up materials that you didn't pick up before. A lot of times I get the question, I already was trained, why should I come back? Well, I've found that even if you listed to the exact same presenter giving the exact same presentation, there would be new material that you would pick up that went right over your head the first time. And so it's good to come back, and now you have some experience. You're prepared to ask some questions and contribute to the trainings as well. We also want high energy in our clubs, and our presidents help set that tone right from the way they come to the lectern and start the meeting. And it should be a fun meeting, right? Dr. Smedley's famous quote, "We learn best in moments of enjoyment." And my district director theme, governor theme, was having fun growing. I think fun is so much important. We have to have fun. I always say we provide a lot of structure with our agendas, but we have a lot of fun within the agenda. And then a lot of clubs will ask their guests to participate in the meetings. I personally don't do that, but we do have the guests introduce themselves at the beginning of the meeting. And then at the end, you have to be careful how you ask this question, because if you say, "What do you think of our meeting?" Well, they just saw a general evaluator give an evaluation of the meeting. And I've had guests that have said, "Well, I really like the fact that you started on time. And I thought that the speeches were it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. What do we really want to know? We want to know if you had a good time, if you want to come back, if you want to join the club. That's what we really want to know, right? And so a great way to ask that question is, what takeaways do you have from this meeting? Going on to the comment that was made earlier, how could you see anything here in our program that could benefit you? And have them connect what's in it for them from this. So how do you get and keep a great club? Well, I recommend doing moments of truth at least once a year for every club. Making sure that the club officers are trained. And you should have mentors for every member, even those of us that are advanced. Let's not use the senior term, advanced members. We've been around for a while. We're still learning and growing. That's why we're still in Toastmasters, right? And so we want to make sure that we have mentors as well. We should enforce the standards of excellence within Toastmasters. That's key to having a quality club. And I want your input on what these standards of excellence are. I'm going to give you one right off the bat. One of our standards of excellence is that all meetings start and end on time, right? What's another standard of excellence for great Toastmaster clubs?
That we also finish on time.
We finish on time, right? Start and end on time. Great. And by the way, some of these standards of excellence I've already mentioned in earlier slides, so it's okay to mention them again.
We'll have to make sure that the evaluators know the actual speech of their speakers.
Right. What are the project objectives? And actually in my clubs, we have the Toastmaster introduce the objectives as part of the introduction of the speaker. In my clubs, we vote for best speaker, and we do it on how best they achieve the objectives of their speech. And that's how a brand new person giving their icebreaker could fairly compete against somebody giving a level 3 or 4 speech. Excellent. What else?
Okay.
What other standards of excellence are there?
I was reminded of the Toastmasters values: integrity, excellence, respect, and service.
Excellent. I love that. Thank you. Thank you. And
Alfred, I would also like to add one more thing. Even the speakers should be really time framed. They just go overboard sometime without knowing their speeches, and it really spoils the agenda.
You mean they don't stick to their time limit?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that is absolutely a standard of excellence. Thank you for pointing that out. I know I've been the timer. Do I have my cards here? I do, but I won't look for them. Where I'm literally waving the red card and going like this, and in some clubs, and we don't do this, but in some clubs, they will literally start the applause after the 30-second grace period. You're dumped. Cut the plug.
Actually, I wanted to ask that, can we unmute that person? I mean, there should be some standard set. Otherwise, people speak 5 to 7 minutes. They speak for 8 to 10 minutes.
Yeah. Well, and that's a great point, but I think that's something that the club should vote on and decide. So yeah, if you determine that that's going to be a ground rule for your club, which I think is reasonable, then absolutely. We've never done that in any of our clubs. Like I said, we pretty much waive it. And believe me, in the evaluations, they get beat up on the timing. And if it happens multiple times, then you kind of do a progressive discipline with the individual. But yeah, thank you for bringing that point up. Keeping on time is a great thing. And by the way, the Toastmasters is responsible for keeping the entire meeting on schedule. And so we've had situations where the Toastmasters had to adjust. If your speaker goes long, you still want to end the meeting on time. So maybe you're going to cut something out of later on in the meeting. You wouldn't cut out an evaluation, but maybe you skip the general evaluation or a thought of the day or a joke, some other minor role, because at the end of the meeting, you want to end on time. So yeah, whenever somebody goes long, there's a real impact. And actually, when I meet with business leaders and I talk about the skills that Toastmasters gives their employees, meeting management skills is one of the things I do talk about. I ask them, have you ever been to a business meeting that didn't start or end on time? And they're like, oh yeah, it threw off my entire schedule for the day. I said, Toastmasters can help with that. So thank you for raising that point, because that's a key one to making sure we're keeping things on time. What are some other standards of excellence?
Alfred, we've got a question in chat, and I think this
Please.
is an important one.
Okay.
The question is, what is moments of truth?
Aha. Moments of truth. And I'm going to show a slide on it a little bit later, but Moments of Truth is part of the Successful Club series. It's a module, and all the slides and materials are there, and it helps take the club through a self-assessment to determine, are they doing all of these things, and asking questions. Okay. And you don't have to do all of these things, but it makes you think about it and ask. Okay. So if I haven't covered that by the end of the presentation, let's circle back on that. But I believe I do have a slide on that. Great question. Thank you, David. Thanks for the interruption.
Alfred, I think a successful meeting is when a new member takes on a new role, that the president or the Toastmasters make sure that they have the how to do sheet that you can find on the Toastmasters website that newer members don't always look for.
Wonderful, Kim. Great point. And actually, in my clubs, we've taken it a step further. I actually wrote this up years ago, and based on the club and how we do things, because not every club does it the same, we've written up a document we call Duties of Participants that explains how we do it in our club, because the Toastmasters one is very generic and it may not be appropriate for your club. And for like the timer, and we distribute that to all members. New members get it, so they have this. So the first time they're assigned the timer, they have the script. Tonight, I'm your timer. I'm going to be timing table topics, the prepared speeches, and the evaluations. The time for table topics is 1 to 2 minutes. You know, it goes through the whole script. And as a new first timer, they can literally just read it from the paper. Of course, over time, as they become more familiar with it, they can have that. But that's a great point. Thank you so much for mentioning that. I think it is important that everybody understands their roles. And that comes back to what I said here, that people are prepared for their duties. Excellent. Every member should have educational goals. If you're a VPE, I encourage you to ask every member, what is your goal? What are you trying to achieve in Toastmasters? And a lot of times people will say, well, I want to become a better speaker. Okay, great. Let's try and make a concrete objective goal from that subjective objective. And so that's a lot of words there. And so if you say, okay, what about completing a level 1 and level 2 during this Toastmasters year? Do you think that would be reasonable? and have the members set a goal. Once the VPE has all of those goals, then the VPE can schedule the members to achieve their goals. And we're going to talk about the Distinguished Club program in a minute here, but that's a great way where you don't come back to the club and say, oh, we need 2 more level 2s in order to be a distinguished club. No, it's about serving the members. So if we have those people identified, helping our members achieve their goals helps the club achieve our goals. Does that make sense? I'm seeing nodding of heads. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay, good.
Definitely, yes.
Here is the moments of truth slide I promised. I was in here, and there's more detail obviously under each of these. We're not going to go through it tonight or today because this is not the purpose of this meeting, but these are the things that we talk about. First impressions. How does the club present itself? Our guests warmly greeted. And it shouldn't be just the sergeant at arms. Everybody should be greeting that. Some clubs have a secret greeter. I don't do that in my clubs, but if somebody wasn't greeted by that, or if didn't acknowledge by that secret greeter will point it out during the meeting. Hey, Alfred didn't say hi to me when I came in. Okay. Membership orientation. Do you formally orient your new members? Now with pathways, it's a little more complicated than the old program. We have to make sure our new members are signed up and engaged in pathways. That is our educational program. Get them a mentor sign. Get them, like I said, for our clubs, the duty of participants, so they understand all the roles. Then there's fellowship, variety, and communication. How does the club perform in those different areas? Program planning, again, are there agendas that go out in advance?
What's up?
Are the meetings organized and things like that? Membership strength. You know, what's the great number we like in Toastmasters? You're going to hear this a lot. It's called charter strength. What's that number?
25, 30 will be ideal.
20.
20.
20 is the requirement, but ideal is 25, 30.
Yeah, no, agreed with everybody there. 25, 30 is ideal, but 20 is what we call our minimum, ideally. And this is the problem, like I said at the beginning, about our franchises. If a guest shows up and it's an 8-member club, which is legal these days, and the board is very concerned about that, I will share with you. They keep wanting to raise that minimum because they're concerned about the lack of consistency throughout our franchises and the quality of our programs. And an 8-member club is a completely different experience than a 25, 30-member club, right? And so if you want to have, the reason 20 is the magic number is if you look at all the different roles within a club, it typically takes about 13 to 15 different roles to run a Toastmasters meeting. Your actual club may vary. Little disclaimer there. And what you don't want to have a situation is where people are doubling and tripling up on duties, which happens to the low membership clubs. You have that situation where you give the invocation and pledge, you sit down, you called for table topics, you speak, and you evaluate the other speaker. You ask a guest at the end of the meeting, hey, would you be interested in joining? They're going to be, no, this is too much work. And so that's why we want to get 20 so we can spread out that workload. We have more energy in the meetings. And like I said before, when our speakers speak, they want an audience. And so those are the key things there. And then achievement recognition. When our members achieve educational awards in the club, are we publicly recognizing that? Are we patting them on the back? Are we acknowledging our club officers? Are we acknowledging district leaders that come out of our club? All of those things are very important. So that is moments of truth. Any questions on that? And again, that's available from Toastmasters International. It's a standalone module in the Successful Club series.
Alfred, I would like to say that, yes, recognition is something which I have been practicing since I'm a VPE and president. I think that is the one which is going to bring us more with the members.
I agree. You know, Greg Scott, past international director, president's distinguished district director from District 12, always says recognition equals motivation. You know, we can't pay people in Toastmasters, but we can pay them emotionally by giving the recognition and acknowledging the great work they're doing. And I want to acknowledge all of you, so I will. I always hate that when people say, I want to thank the Academy. Well, but I'm not allowed to. I don't have enough time. I thank all of you for the time and energy you're putting by serving your clubs. And even if you're not a club officer, but you're attending these sessions, you are a leader because you're expanding your experience and you're learning to grow. And I appreciate you for that. So thank you for being here and participating. The Distinguished Club Program has 10 goals. And the first goal is during a Toastmasters year. When does the Toastmasters year start?
July to June.
July 1st through
Yes,
June
July 1st
30th.
to
Yeah.
30th June.
So even though calendar wise, we just started a brand new year, for the Toastmasters year, we're halfway through, right? So during the Toastmasters year, to get the first point in the Distinguished Club Program, you would need to have 4 level 1s completed, okay? And in goal number 2 is having 2 level 2s completed. And then goal 3 is 2 more level 2s. And the reason the board added more in there, just to eliminate any confusion, where somebody gets 2 level 2s and they go, great, we have 2 level 2s. So guess goals 2 and 3 are done because we got 2 level 2s. No, it's 2 more for the third goal. All right. Goal 4 is 2 level 3 completions. Goal number 5 is a level 4 or a level 5 or a DTM completion. And then goal 6 is, 1 more level 4, level 5 or DTM. Goal number 7, 4 new members. Every club should be bringing in on average 1 new club per month on average. Why? Why is that important?
Growth.
Growth
Because you
into
lose that many.
Consistency of growth.
Some
Attrition.
people may leave, some people will come back. So make sure that we have average 20 always.
Attrition is normal in Toastmasters. And this, it was mentioned in my introduction. I've been a Toastmaster since last century. When I was a club officer back then in ancient times, retention was an issue then, and it is today. It's not a new phenomenon. Why do we have such turnover in Toastmasters? I'll tell you why. It's very simple. It's people have changes and priorities in their life. Okay. And so sometimes people join because they have a fear of public speaking. They get to speech 6 and they're feeling like, okay, I'm pretty comfortable now. And they leave because of that. So we can help retain those members by making sure they've set a goal and they start working the Toastmasters program, that they have goals that they're working from. Past International President Helen Blanchard had a great quote. She said, if you get out of Toastmasters all that you can get out of Toastmasters, you'll never get out of Toastmasters. So there's always more there. Even myself, after so many years as a Toastmaster, I'm still involved because I'm still learning and growing. And yes, I'm giving back, but I'm also learning every meeting. Like I said, every speech I listen to, I learn something or I'm entertained. It's always positive. So we need to be bringing in new members to replace those that are going to naturally leave. The fact of the matter is, if we're not building, we're dying. If you're not growing, you're dying. And if you have a low membership club, our #1 membership building tool is Speechcraft. So I want to put a little plug for that. And I have an approach I use where we charge a substantial fee up front, and I get a 75% success rate converting Speechcrafters into members. So out of a 15-member Speechcraft, we get 12 new members, and boom, you're instantly at your 20. So goal number 7 is 4 more members. And then 8 is 4 more new members. And then 9, goal 9, is a minimum of 4 club officers trained twice. You have to go both times. And when this first was released, I'll never forget this. It was a Founders District governor at the time that approached me, and she was very upset. She said, you guys are saying that 4 is enough, is good enough. And I said, no, we're not. We're saying 4 will get you credit. because we have to realize how lucky we are here in Founders District. Now, we're doing today's meeting online, but in the past, pre-COVID, you would have had to drive somewhere to participate in a LACE training. And we're very lucky here that Founders District is geographically very small. I mean, no, even in the worst traffic, you can drive across the district in a couple hours. Worst case scenarios, more likely an hour, okay? But there are huge districts around the world. And I remember when this was put out, Gavin Blakey, who became international president after me, he's from Eastern Australia. And he let us know that in his home area, in order to attend district-sponsored club officer training, the club officers would climb into a minivan and drive for 5 hours one way just to get there. So as a board, we have to recognize these situations around the world. And so we're saying 4 people will get you qualified. Obviously, we'd like 100%, but we're not going to demand that in order for the club to get credit. Because again, wouldn't you agree, spending 10 hours in a minivan just to get credit for the training, that's a pretty big ask, right? We're getting lazy now with these online meetings. It's just like I show up 5 minutes ahead of time. I didn't, some of you, I'm not pointing any fingers, maybe you're still in your PJs. You just have the camera off. That's okay. You're here. That's the important thing. All right. And then goal 10 is another administrative one. Make sure that we have on-time payment of dues with 8 members one time. There's 2 opportunities. When's our dues due?
September and April. October
right.
and April, sorry.
Yeah.
October, April.
Yeah, October 1st and April 1st actually are the dates. Okay. So yes. So you have 2 opportunities and you want to get 8 members at least one of those times submitted on time. And if there's any treasurers here, and I'm currently a club treasurer, I say, as you get the dues, submit them to World Headquarters, submit the dues. Don't wait till you have everybody, and make sure you have at least 8 prior to the deadline. More can trickle in afterwards, but you want to get at least 8 in prior to the deadline. And the on-time submission of the club officer list. Now, this one's tricky. This one is tricky because when does that on-time submission of the club officer list have to be submitted for this program year?
Before June 30th, 2022.
It has to be completed from the previous year. Okay, exactly. So if your club did not submit that club officer list prior to June 30th of 2021, you're not eligible for goal number 10. Okay. And you guys all want to make sure that you do it for this term. By the end of this Toastmasters year, you submit the new club officer list before the end of the Toastmasters year so that your club can get credit, at least has that part of it to get credit for next year. Why is it important to get our dues in on time?
Because of contests.
Okay, that's one reason. If you're not a member in good standing, you can't participate in the contest. What's another reason to get dues in on time?
The standard of excellence, and it has to do with keeping the whole organization running.
Good, excellent. Thank you, April. Great, absolutely. If somebody hasn't paid their dues, are they eligible to get an education award applied to them?
No.
No.
And they lose access to the Pathways program.
They lose access to Pathways. And by the way, there used to be a grace period. There is not. And I've learned why. This is a little behind the scenes fact that nobody tells anybody. Toastmasters International is charged a fee for every member that has access to Pathways. And so if you haven't paid your dues, they cut it off very quickly because they're being charged for it. So good. And why is it important to have a club officer list on time?
To know everyone's role, otherwise they are not in the right direction.
So the system can work for us to add members, run the system online. We're the ones who have the access to do that. If I'm not an officer, I should be cut off.
Yeah. But also like the club officer training, right? How does the district know who to send the email to about the upcoming club officer training if they don't know who the club officers are, right?
Sure.
It sounds so simple when it's explained. And those are easy goals. So what I do whenever I'm club president is I sit down with my executive committee, and guys, if you haven't done this as a club, I encourage you to do it. It's not too late. You still have 6 months to achieve these goals, and just sit down with the executive committee and say, okay, let's take a look at these 10 goals. Goal number 1, 4 level 1 completions. Do we think as a club that we might be able to do that the rest of this Toastmasters year? And of course, people are most likely going to say, yeah, I think we can do that. How about 2 level 2s? Yeah, sure. And you go down through the list. Next thing you know, the executive committee is going for 10 out of 10. President's distinguished. And I'll show that in a minute here. Then we bring it to the club. And I said, again, as president, I would say, hey, I'm very excited to share with you that your executive committee met and we've set a goal to be a president's distinguished club. Yay! Then somebody says, what's that mean? Well, that means that we're looking for at least 4 of you, hopefully 6 of you, that want to complete a level 1 completion during this Toastmasters year. Now, this is a self-paced program. If that doesn't fit your timing, that's okay. But we want to find 4 people at least that want to do it. And by the way, a level 1 just means, and then you list what the reasons are. It's like, those of you that have done it, I've done a number of level 1s. It's pretty simple, right? A level 1, you can trip and fall and complete that. It's very, very simple. And so you go through the goals where there's educational awards and you have members sign up to commit to achieve those during the Toastmasters year. Now, once you have those goals, and this ties back to what I said earlier, this all does tie together. I'm not just spewing a bunch of incoherent stuff here. It all ties together. The VPE now knows what the goals of the members are and schedules them to achieve those goals. So we circle back on that. So those are the 10 goals. To get credit, the member also has to complete it in Pathways, and then the Pathways manager has to approve it in Club Central. So there's 2 pieces to that, and I want to make sure everybody understands that. It's a 2-step process, but it's not that difficult to do. The difficult thing is, as a Pathways manager, I will tell you, to get out of Pathways back to Club Central, there's no direct link. I don't know, T.I. messed that one up. Anyway, so to get into the Distinguished Club program, you have to meet the minimum requirements. And to do that, you have to have a minimum of 20 members. So it's all based off your base at the beginning of the Toastmasters year. So at June 30th of last year, let's say your club had 22 members, you're going to have at least 20 at the end of the current Toastmasters year. But if you were a low membership club last year, let's say you had 12 members, well, then you just have to have a net gain of 5. And what does a net gain mean? Are we
17.
going fishing? Pardon?
17, 12 plus 5.
Yeah, but it also means you can't just have added 5 members. You have to have 17 paid members at the end of your term.
It
Okay.
includes the attrition rate.
You're right. So if you lost
Yeah.
2 members during the second half of that year, instead of adding 5, now you'd have to add 7 to have your net gain of 5. Does that make sense? All right. Thank you, April. All right. So it's all based on where you stood at the end of the previous Toastmasters year. And then they're going to take another snapshot where you stand at the end of this Toastmasters year on June 30th. And you need to meet those minimum requirements in order to participate. Now, to be a distinguished club, which for me is the minimum standard of excellence. If your club is not distinguished, that doesn't mean you should be disbanded and your club's members should be given to other clubs. No, it just means in one way or another, we've really, let's be honest, we're not truly serving the members the way we should be. So if you get 5 out of 10 goals, then you're going to be a distinguished club. If you achieve 7 out of 10 goals, you're a select distinguished club. And I love that TI does not require 100%. If you achieve 9 out of 10 goals, you can be President's Distinguished Club. And we have some clubs in Founders District that are year after year after year President's Distinguished Club. And I applaud those of you that are members of clubs like that. And that's something that all of us should be trying to achieve and create that as a standard of excellence, as an expectation that that's going to happen. Distinguished is our minimum standard of success, but then we have these additional levels. Any questions on the Distinguished Club program? Because it's very important that you understand it. It does tie into quality clubs, okay? If you don't have a Distinguished Club, I'm sorry, it's not, I'm not saying it's a terrible club, but we're not quite there where we need to be as a standard for a great club. And we want to be great clubs. Of course, all of us are biased. We think our club, our own personal club is the best club in the world. I get that. But we also have to be real and realize, you know, there's some ways we might have some deficiencies. And again, moments of truth can help point that out. Any questions on the Distinguished Club program? Hearing none? All right. So
Pardon, Alfred, it's not, and you can address it later. It's not so much that it has to be necessarily for the Distinguished Club program, but I would love some, because I love that chart. I want like a bonus feature for the clubs who sponsor a YLP during the youth leadership program during the year.
no.
I know, I just say
Absolutely
it's like,
not.
I would
No,
love to have
no.
something on there of a bonus thing. I hear
No,
what you're saying.
No, terrible idea. Sorry, April. It's not a critical success factor. It doesn't help the club build
I
membership.
appreciate what you're saying.
Yeah.
I appreciate what you're saying, and you don't need to say it's terrible.
Okay. All right. All right. So how to build membership in the club? First of all, again, moments of truth can help that to identify the core issues. Make sure you're having quality meetings, even if you have a low membership club. I've always said this, and my clubs, I mean, that's reality. Clubs go through cycles. They go up in membership, they go down in membership. And so if you have a low membership club, just make sure you're putting on quality meetings, that the roles are filled, even if you're doubling up, that's fine. And that speech that's given is a great speech. That is a project speech, that the evaluator is giving positive feedback, reinforcing the good things that the speaker is doing, personalizing their language, and offering one or two suggestions for improvement. Follow up on leads from Toastmasters. I'm the key contact for my community club, and I get emails frequently from people that have gone to the TI website and looked for information about joining a Toastmasters club, and they reach out. Make sure you follow up with those people. Ideally, get back to them within 24 hours if you can. Reach out to them and just say, hey, thank you for your interest in Toastmasters. And let me explain, our next meeting's coming up this coming Tuesday. We'd love to have you come as a guest. When you do have guests come to your meeting, make sure you ask them to join. It sounds like such a basic point, but I'll tell you, it happens all the time. And it's sometimes a case of, well, I thought you were going to ask. Oh, I thought you were going to ask. So make sure that you ask the person to join, you know, and you don't put pressure on them, but just say, hey, if you're open to it, if the time is right, we'd love to have you join. If you're not quite ready yet, please continue to come back as often as you'd like as a guest. Again, in my clubs, we don't invite our guests to participate in the meetings. And the reason why we do that is I feel that many people have a fear of public speaking, and you put them on the spot when you ask them to participate. Even if you say, oh, this is optional, you don't have to do it, but you're putting them on the spot. I'd like guests just to feel like they can sit back, relax. We tell them up front, we're going to have you introduce yourself at the end. And at the end, we're going to ask if you had a good time or what your takeaways are, but we're not going to have you participate in the meeting. And in my clubs, for instance, we only have time to do 3 table topics. We don't have time for everybody in the room to do that. Some clubs, they have longer meetings and they can do that, and that's fine. But for us, if I allowed a guest to do a table topic, that means I'm taking away an opportunity from somebody that paid dues to participate in our program. And because the guest we want to have a positive experience, if your club votes for best performance in those categories, the guest will typically win best table topics, even though they weren't necessarily the best. So now you denied one person a chance to participate. You denied a second member the recognition that they really did the best job. And it's funny because I was doing a presidential visit in Northern California, and the district director at the time, they said, you know, you're absolutely right. And when I won best table topics in that club I was visiting, I said, well, if I'm already the best, I don't need you. And I joined another club. Speechcraft is our #1 membership tool. So I encourage you to do that to build membership. Open houses are a great way to also just make sure everybody's focused that, hey, this one meeting, let's invite people to come and make sure you have a great program there. You can also have a guest speaker as a draw to get people to come to your clubs. So quality clubs, you are all Toastmasters worldwide. We want quality meetings with an agenda in advance, prepared participants, whether they're the Toastmaster, the table topics master, make sure our speakers are giving project speeches, make sure we have fun, energized meeting, trained officers that are doing their job. It's not enough just to attend training, do the job. It sounds so simple, but most people do. Plan for success, build your membership, and you can have a quality club. Mr. District Director.
Alfred, thank you so much for being here this morning and giving us these great ideas and this great training. I sure appreciate it. Now, if our tech master would please put that survey in the chat. I know that every speaker, great or small, loves feedback. And I'm sure Alfred would love your feedback. So please do that. And our tech master, would you launch the poll here at the end of the meeting so that everybody can get credit for coming today?
I don't know that we have a poll for this one necessarily, because while it is to help us be better at our club officer roles, you unfortunately don't have to take this one to get credit for your club officer training.
All right, we don't have a poll, but Alfred, thank you so much. I certainly appreciate you and all the wisdom that you bring to our club officers here in Founders District, and for being such a faithful, passionate Founders District Toastmaster. We love having you here. So thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me a part of your program today. I'm truly honored. I'm glad you enjoyed it all. Hope you all did. Thank you.
Yes, yes. All right, it is 9:51. The next Zoom rooms are opening for the next session. So we'd love to stay in chat, but I want to get this meeting wrapped up so you can go on to your next session. So everybody have a great day and enjoy your officer training in the next session.
Thank you, Alfred.
Everyone.
Thank you, Alfred. I learned a lot.
It was very helpful. Thank you.
We'll be in touch with
Thank you,
you.
Alfred. We very much appreciate your wisdom.
Thanks so much, Alfred Herzing. Really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. You still have it, Alfred. You still have it after all those years.
Thank you.
Great job, my friend. Great job.
Thank you.
You know, Alfred, you pack in all the solid points, but there's all these little self-mocking humor that you throw in there. You don't even plan it. It's just sort of reactive humor. And it's such a delight to hear that. And it's a great way of delivering the material to us in a very enjoyable way. So great job.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate it,
You're
Mark. Great
welcome,
to see
sir.
you again. God bless you all. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
You too. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Alfred.
He's really quite funny, Alfred.
We should bring him once to our club.
Yeah, whatever club that might be. But you're right. The thing with Alfred, he presents very solid material, but it's that humor. I think it's his humorous approach that is.
Yes.
I'd forgotten about that. I hadn't really heard Alfred speak in so many years, and yeah, he hasn't lost it. He still has it. By golly. Julie, Julie Murphy, Program Quality Director, thank you for inviting Alfred to be one of your keynote.
Thank you very much, Julie.
Thank you. And
Great
thank you
choice, Julie.
for our amazing speakers today.
Just for your information.
For our amazing lineup.
Yeah, Mike and Alfred, what a 1-2 punch.
Mike was really very serious. Wow, amazing. For a person like me going through that similar situation today for the last 2 years, really is great. By the way, the time is 11:30 p.m. for me, but still I'm there with you because I came here to see Mark, our Mark, DTM Mark.
Oh God, You're so funny. Wait, it's not 54 minutes after the hour
Yeah.
for you? Okay.
Yeah, 11:54. It's 11:54 p.m.
In the, yeah, right. So it's almost midnight for you.
Yeah, almost.
Oh my good Lord. Wow.
Well, you never sleep. You and Patricia just never sleep. I see you guys. It's all the meetings.
Yes. That's
Yeah,
passionate.
Morale has a lot of great ideas. If Julie, I don't know what Morale's plans are for next year, but yeah, he's got a lot of great ideas, a lot of ways he can serve and support.
Yes, he has big plans for next year. We have already been in touch.
Okay, good.
We are in touch.
Connected. Thanks,
Yeah.
Morale, for offering your help.
Thank you very much. I need your support, God willing.
We will support, yes.
Awesome.
Thank
Don't
you.
forget our 10:30 session will be
Yes.
coming up soon. So join us for another round of sessions.
10:30. So in other words, that's half an hour from now. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, Stella, you have
Everybody
been
gets
very
a
good in
break to grab some coffee,
providing.
breakfast if you didn't eat already. Stretch.
Stella,
Yeah,
you've been
a little
very good
coffee
in
break
providing
is in
lots
order.
of resources.
Good. I'm glad. I hope you're able to access them.
Yes.
Stella, great job. Of course, every time I see your name, I think of the movie.
Don't hold back. There you go.
The Marlon Brando line,
Exactly.
A Streetcar
See-
Named Desire.
Did you mark? It is
Yes.
2:00 in the morning tomorrow. Our Patricia is there.
Say 2 in the morning.
It's-
Where?
2 in the morning in Malaysia now.
Oh wow! Patricia. Good
Yeah,
Lord.
Patricia.
Patricia
She's
never
still
sleeps though.
Yeah,
Patricia, Alicia, Morale.
Alicia.
The three of you, yes. Actually, that's good. A good company. Patricia Yap, Alicia Curtis from Australia, and Morale from the Mideast. Yeah.
Yes. No,
Wow.
I'm from India presently.
Oh, you're in India now. Okay. I know that you've been
Yeah,
acting.
yeah.
Okay, you were the division director and all in the Middle East. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Thank you. See, can we continue here, or we should be log out and come in?
Well, our
again?
next sessions for club officer training is in 30 minutes, right, Stella?
Right.
30 minutes.
Yes. Yes.
So
it's
then
in
we will
10:30.
go out and come back.
34 minutes to be exact, but yeah.
Right, yeah,
Yes.
you need to register for the next session.
Yeah, I did.
Get the proper-
I did. By the way, I am a VPE. Should I attend only VPE, or I can attend another one?
You can attend them all. You can attend anything.
Yeah,
and
they'll
everything
let
would
you
like
in,
to.
Morale, troublemaker that you are. Yeah, they'll let you in.
Yes, we let
Anybody
everybody in. Yeah.
Anybody who has 4 devices can watch room 1 on one device, room 2 on another device, room 3 on another device, and room 4 on another device. Not a problem.
Unfortunately,
Not a
Hey, Mary.
problem. That's what Mary is.
Mary Berg. bless your
Very
heart.
techie.
No. If Zoom only has 4, like a breakout room, 4 different channel, you can put it.
So we actually don't do them via breakout rooms. We actually do them via individual links.
Yeah, no. I say
You just drop into your session. You don't have to worry about breakout rooms or anything like that.
Okay, Stella, thanks for the link to give Alfred some feedback. That's excellent. Good.
Good. I'm glad. Sorry, Xiao. I think Shihao, your audio again has a lot of feedback, so I had to mute you.
Are you mumbling again?
Start between sessions.
And thank you, Mary.
Stella, are you having a good time already?
Yes, ma'am. I hope you too. Thank you for your help in getting us a lot of our room monitors. Appreciate you.
The last 2 weeks have been very, very busy. I have
I
not
know,
been
it's
paying
okay.
attention. So
But-
are we in full force now? Do we have any consolations or anything that I have to help
Nope.
you with?
Not
We're
at
in good
all.
shape? Oh
We're
my
good
God.
shape. You're awesome. Thank you.
Well, everybody's awesome.
Good.
Absolutely everybody's awesome. I love your
Yeah.
smile, Stella.
Thank
I'll
you.
see
Thank
you at
you.
the next. I'll see you at the next 4 sessions. I got to
Yes.
comb my hair. That's why I'm not.
Yes, let's take a some break and then grab your lunch, coffee, and then let's connect again 10 minutes before the session. See you there.
I'm on. I
Bye-bye
love you
now.
so much, dear heart. I love you so much. Love your smile
love,
and I love your
love.
energy. I love, 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 love. I love you more
Lots
than
of
you love
love.
me.
See you soon.